Hello and welcome to this edition of Intelligent Video Today. I'm your host, Steve Vonderhaar. Joining us on today's episode, Matthew Kershaw, VP of Commercial Strategy over at DID. Welcome, Matthew.
Thanks, Steve. Very great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, DID is in the business of making digital human avatars. Tell us exactly what those are and what technologies are needed to make those digital human avatars.
Yeah, absolutely. So a digital human avatar, kind of what it sounds like. It's taking all the elements of really photoreal, genuine looking humans. So we're not talking about kind of CGI and game type avatars. We're looking like really hyper realistic, photorealistic. They sound like people. They're really realistic sounding voices, and they have the smarts behind them of these large language models. So they can talk to you, they can converse in very natural language. And of course, we have to do that very, very quickly. So it's a very low latency, it has to be, encourage that flow of conversation. And the next kind of stage on, which we're looking at this year, is adding a kind of more emotional, element to them, that they understand the emotions that are coming from the other side and also are able to reflect that back. So that's kind of what digital humans are as we describe them. And obviously the technology for that is incredibly complex. As you'd imagine, you're pulling together a number of different technologies to move the head, lip sync the voice, have the voice sound really realistic, and obviously the intelligence that stands behind them as well. So kind of the brain, the heart, the face, the whole kit and caboodle comes together into one space, a kind of multimodal mashup of technology that we've pulled together to make this happen in real time.
I guess people have been dreaming about digital avatars ever since the Max Headroom days. What makes a good digital human avatar as opposed to one that's not so good? How do you differentiate yourself in the marketplace?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, you're talking to the right audience. I'm old enough also to remember Max Headroom. And obviously technology's come on a long way from them. And actually there's this thing that, they call it the uncanny valley, where, 98% there actually isn't good enough. You've really got to be, 99 or 100%, real. Otherwise, kind of we reject it. We don't, as human beings, we don't like to see that overcoming that uncanny valley is really what we've been focused on for the past 6 or so years since we've been looking at this space. Bringing together all those all that technology and making it and doing it. We're real face specialists. We really understand not only how the face moves, but also how we perceive the face and the bits that we kind of look at. Not every part of the face is kind of as concentrated on by by the viewer as every other part. So we're real experts in bringing all those things together and making it seem not like Max Headroom, but making it seem real.
Yeah, and end users are pretty fickle. If it's 1 or 2% off, they're going to tell you about it, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the uncanny valley. If you get it just even a little bit wrong, it just feels terrible. It's almost better to be completely synthetic and look synthetic. But so you got to really work hard to make these digital human avatars seem and feel human.
So, how do enterprises use these digital human avatars in day-to-day applications today? Where are they put to use?
Yeah, so I guess you can imagine everything we currently do in enterprises, and imagine it now, instead of it being written down, that it's something you can interact with. So, as an example, every large company has an HR handbook. It's pages and pages of either a physical handbook or it's online, very opaque, quite difficult to access. If there is a search thing, you might not hit on the right search term exactly for the thing you're looking for. Well, imagine that now, that same handbook, but you could just talk to it. It becomes a person that you can talk to and interact with and get the information you need in a really natural human way. You're talking and you're chatting to that playbook. And the same is true really across business. So, presentations, we're in this era, been an era of PowerPoint for 20 years or more. But imagine now that the PowerPoint presents itself. And not just that, but you can actually quiz the PowerPoint afterwards. So once you've had the presentation, you can follow up with questions to the digital human avatar who presented it, and they'll know everything that they need to know and answer your questions. So it's a great it's great for training and learning, and anything really that requires that level of human interaction.
And I guess, like the rest of the world, you've had your eyes on the AI marketplace over the past year or so, if not longer. And you're starting to play around with the idea of integrating AI into the digital human avatar space. Tell us how that would work, and what does that allow you to do? What kind of application cases does that open up for DID?
Yeah, so we very much feel like we're affiliated with these, the rise of these large language models that have come about. But whereas large language models are very much text based, we bring in that new interface. So whereas the LLM is the OS, we think we consider ourselves to be that more human interface. You can turn any text that comes out of a large language model and turn it into a human talking to you, which is so much more natural. It's the reason we're speaking today by video, and I'm not just talking to you on an email. It's a more natural way, and it helps you particularly engage with customers, helps you engage with your own teams and your people. Anything where you need that kind of a level of engagement. This is an incredible step forward in technology, and it's all based on AI.
Yeah, and I think in our past conversations, you've referred to it as the natural user interface. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I guess we like to think of ourselves that this is a revolution, a kind of inflection point. We had in the early days of computers text user interface. We then moved to graphic user interface for which we've had since the 80s. We've added multi-touch for our mobile devices, but fundamentally the user interface hasn't really changed. And we feel like being able to talk to your machine, talk to your spreadsheet, talk to your PowerPoint, talk to whoever is going to be a much more user friendly interface. This is the journey really that we've been on since the beginning of technology, to try and, you know, get the computer to talk on our terms rather than having to learn to navigate and scroll and go to sub menus and, you know, be work on the computer terms to get the information and the experiences that we want to get. So yeah, we call it NUI, natural user interface, and that's the revolution that we're spearheading.
And it sounds very science fiction-y, but really there are some applications that are valid and viable for the enterprise. How do you see these newies starting to impact how AI solutions and data is consumed in the business environment?
Yeah, I think there's any number of ways. I think when you think about customers, for example, you think about that customer journey from marketing to them, to selling to them, to onboarding them, to helping them and supporting them once they are a customer. Across that whole chain, to be able to bring to bear this kind of more human technology is going to be a massive improvement. Improve customer satisfaction. We think it's going to improve conversion rates, and we think it's going to allow businesses whole new lines of business. So that's sort of one end of it. I guess there's another end of it, which is, I think they will become advisors and helpers for us in any number of ways, of which also businesses will be a part of that. So I know you've used the phrase before, enterprise learning model. It's like, sorry, enterprise language model. And I think that's kind of really interesting way forward, that if you're an insurance company or a legal firm or even a telecom healthcare, you will be able to offer your users these advisors and helpers and allow people to get way much more from their business, the business that they interact with than they've ever had before.
And when you get those targeted data sets that you can build the digital human avatars on top of, you sidestep all that messy copyright issues that are emerging for LLMs right now. If you're working just off your own data set and you essentially have an in-person, your in-house digital advisor, that could be a good thing, can it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are any number of ways now to stop these large language models kind of hallucinating. I mean, that's one of the things that, one of the downsides of them has been that they're very effective at giving you information, wrong information, but very convincingly.
Yeah.
And I think there's now the focus has been on, either training that model right from the start on your data, or these, they call it RAG, retrieve augmented generation, that there's a vector base between the user and the large language model that contains all your company information, and grounds that data in the information you have. And one of our products now that we've just in beta at the moment, called Agents, allows people to upload PDFs, docs, PowerPoints about their business, so that when their agent is interfacing with their customers, it has the right information to hand at the right time. So I think there are a number of ways we can do it, but yeah, that's definitely the next frontier.
Yeah, now this sounds like some great use cases that you're developing. Does DID aspire to develop all the applications under its own umbrella, or do you see yourselves more as an avatar arms dealer for other vendors?
I don't think we definitely don't see ourselves as an arms dealer, but that aside, yeah, we do. We're a platform company. The core of our business is our API. Everything we do is API first. So while we do have products that we put out there, they're all based on our API, which is incredibly robust, and has to take hundreds of millions of calls that over the time we've been using it. But we do create these products from time to time, and one of the reasons is we're very early in this space. It's a very early market, and we need to do quite a lot of market education. And one of the reasons we do create these products from time to time is to kind of give people an idea. It's very hard for people sometimes to really imagine what's possible. So we show them what's possible by creating, some of these products like Agents, or our human digital avatar studio that allows you to create content kind of on the fly. But fundamentally, we're API based. We're a platform. We want to work with other businesses.
And if you get other vendors as part of that partner network, that will really be illustrative that the adoption of AI and avatars is becoming more widespread. Any thoughts on how you really get that partner network to flourish in the next year or two, or is it just a matter of having the technology vendors begin to recognize applications for AI and avatars on an integrated basis?
Yeah, partnerships is super important for us in 2024. It's a real focus for us. We know that our customers want to come to us and get, an end-to-end solution. That requires us partnering with all sorts of other players in the market. And likewise, we also want to partner, with some of these larger players, people like the large language models, the big tech companies, to empower them to do more. We've got a really super advanced technology. We can fast forward their journey as well, by a number of years. So yeah, we're very much about building out that ecosystem this year.
It is some forward-looking things that you're working on right now. It's going to be fascinating to watch DID's progress over the next year or two. You're really sitting on the frontier of video technologies in a big way. Matthew Kershaw,
Yeah.
thanks so much for taking the time for visiting with us today.
No, not at all. Thanks so much, Steve. It was super interesting. Great to speak to you.
And our thanks goes out to you for joining us for today's episode of Intelligent Video Today. To get access to more insight from industry thought leaders like Matthew Kershaw, please subscribe to the YouTube link right below there and get access to the Intelligent Video Today channel. For Intelligent Video Today and Intelligent Research, I'm Steve Vonderhaar. Thanks for your time.